Video games and finances are two unfortunate conjoined things that go hand in hand, similarly like watching YouTube free and dealing with ads. Sometimes you might strike on some luck, but it's overall getting shittier about the day. And it's hard to even, bring up the topic of video games without mentioning their prices, since the discussion of modern games and their value compared to the increased price tag that we've seen in the last 3 years is basically shoved down your throat Liu Kang fatality style. But just more generally, for many people, buying new games at full price is tough as hell to budget nowadays, since the prices of everything else has just been raw dogging everyone's wallets. And of course, I'm not going to sing you that usual song and dance routine of the economy and the reasons for all the inflation, since anyone that's ever got a paycheck ever probably already knows it by now. I guarantee there's someone out there debating copping Astrobot launch day or paying mortgage, but the basic thing to understand is that as time goes on, the value of the US dollar diminishes, which is part of the reason why we see more expensive things like the current $69.99 price model for new games. And while people might hate it or, choose to be indifferent about the cost, we all know that, eventually that shit's gonna go up. Hopefully according to a fair market that adjusts and gives us better wages at that point, aka a fairy tale. But a big concern that I've seen not just recently, but overall in this whole new era of games that are outpacing production costs of some blockbuster movies, is that these titles are going to get that aforementioned base price increase more sooner than we think rather than later, and not according to a down the line market shift that we can project today, but instead in response to a more contemporary issue that a lot of people are talking about right now because of a recent tweet by a dude that's pretty respected in the gaming community from what I've seen, which is Michael Dowse, who acts as publishing director over at Larian Studios, the team most known for the Divine Divinity games and Baldur's Gate 3. You see, in short, the man was going hard in the Twitter trenches, creating a thread talking about his disdain of the Star Wars Outlaws Ultimate pricing plan that includes vague content to make the higher prices seem justified, average on Ubisoft that I wholeheartedly approve of. But then Dowse makes a statement in his next tweet that sparks some debate in his mentions, where he basically states that games should be priced according to the value, depth, and production costs of the title that people are playing, and that most new games should have a higher base cost just due to the ongoing market trend of inflation and production budget. A move that's, pretty bold and scary to do, but he thinks that everyone is just waiting on Grand Theft Auto 6 to bite the bullet and be the first one to increase the price so that more games can follow suit in the near future. Now, the whole idea of a higher base game price, let alone Grand Theft Auto 6 being the first one to make that leap, is nothing many people, haven't heard before, or something that I haven't talked about due to the unreal amount of hype for the Grand Theft Auto 6 game and, Take-Two Interactive's vague-ass words regarding this possible price tag. But see, what many people gotta understand is that on one side of that coin of strong opinions on whether games should press that pricing envelope so soon or not, you got the gaming developer perspective, which, like Dowse states in his tweet, is increasingly getting more expensive to create and maintain games. At least for the studios that operate at a level like Larian Studios, where Baldur's Gate 3 reportedly costs around the ballpark of $100 million USD to create. A budget which, luckily for the studio, their game was nothing short of amazing and sold really well, so it didn't really have trouble breaking even and recoup the cost that it spent and then some. But many titles aren't fortunate enough to live in that same tale, since video games are having hundreds of millions of dollars invested into them due to their current popularity in the media, causing the ideology that every game just needs to be the biggest thing that God's ever seen created, which in turn causes a big gamble on whether these games will be smash hits or not, which in truth most times is at the fault of the gaming corporations for greenlighting these big titles that end up playing it too safe and then underperforming. But even then, you also got the pressure dangling over many publishers' heads to deliver a true next-gen game experience that actually makes use of the current hardware and PC graphics cards that cost a few kidneys to buy. Like, I'd be lying if I'd said that this game's generation, didn't feel like it was currently lacking for the most part, partly due to many of the gaming user base still on last-gen consoles with little reason to upgrade. So, ports with compromises are still being brought to these older systems, taking resources away from developing a true next-gen experience on current hardware. But, that eventual next step in innovation is gonna cost some serious money to develop. An innovation that many people are thinking that Grand Theft Auto 6 will be one of the first games to bring, based on this promising trailer that we got a few months back, prompting an increase in the video game base price. And then you got this side of the coin that matters as much, if not just a little more, aka the broke ass gamer side. Because listen, man, at the end of the day, the entire gaming market shifts depending on where the majority of players spend or, well, don't spend their money at. And like we've seen time and time again, and likely we'll continue to see time and time again in the future, once a game charges these high prices that we have right now, not even talking about the future prices or what they could possibly be, it almost immediately goes good or bad with the players' overall reception based on whether the game met its expectations or not with the vast majority. And we live in an age where public perception is skewed extremely over the tiniest of imperfections and shortcomings, so it's hard to come back from a bad rep from a game once that word has gone out to the mass public. The TikTok brain epidemic is beyond repairable at this point. But dude, not even that. I gotta tell you, it's never been more easier to skip out on a high price game and wait for a sale, or if I'm really impatient, set sail in uncharted waters just to save $1. When I say times is hard, I mean that with every zero that's not in my tax bracket. So even though many gamers might make an excuse for, paying a higher price tag for Grand Theft Auto 6 or, even the next Baldur's Gate game if we ever get that, just because we know that these games have a high chance of delivering, doesn't mean that every big game is going to be able to adopt a higher price so soon and expect big results. So what do you guys think about games and their prices now and their prices in the near future, man? Feel free to comment down below. As always, like on the video, subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see you on the next one.